Hey guys, this is Jim with automaticpoker.com, and we're doing a review of Ignition Casino today, which recently bought the poker rights from Bovada. And as of September 30th, 2016, Bovada will be no more. And if you want to play on the same network with the same player pool and you live in the US, you will have to play on Ignition. But that's not something really to worry about because the software is exactly the same, the player pool is exactly the same. The only thing that is different is this Ignition logo instead of the Bovada logo. So what we're going to do is we're going to cover Ignition real quick. I'm going to play a few hands here so you can watch how the games play. I actually have a tournament table over here that I'm not involved in, but I have it up just the same so you can see how tournament tables look. And you'll notice below you have these software programs running. One on the left is called Holdem Indicator, and the one on the right is called Tournament Indicator. They're made by the same company, and what they do is they track hands-on players, and they allow you to have a HUD on Ignition. Now, this is the only software that will allow you to have a HUD on Ignition. You can't use Holdem Manager HUDs, you can't use Pokertracker HUDs, and actually you can, but you have to have a hand converter that you have to purchase from a third party before you can do that. We'll cover that here in a little bit. But first, let's cover the gameplay here on Ignition. This site is geared towards recreational players. So what that means is they have a limited amount of features and settings for pro players to take advantage of. You're not going to see all the bells and whistles. You're not going to be able to set a custom percentage for betting. You're not going to be able to maintain a long-term HUD on somebody or stats on somebody. As you can see, each seat on this table is numbered. There's no player names. That's because the site is completely anonymous. When you sit at a table, you're assigned a number, and when you leave a table, it's like a clean slate when you go to another table. It's actually a pretty awesome feature. I wish all poker sites would lean and go towards doing that. However, I don't think that's going to happen, but it has been wildly successful on this network. If you're not a pro and you don't want to track long-term hands on people, you aren't interested in that, then you're not going to be at a huge disadvantage as you would be on one of the other mainstream sites. And that, in my opinion, is one of the reasons that this site has remained so fishy over the years. While all the other sites are getting tougher and tougher, Bovada and now Ignition remain relatively fishy, where you can find 2 to 3 recreational players on just about every table. They do an excellent job on this site of protecting the weaker players in their player pool. They don't have all the features that pros love, so they don't attract as many pros to this site. And they also have no long-term tracking, so you can't exploit a player that you haven't played with on a table because you don't know who he is. There's no past history there. The only thing you can do is use Holdem Indicator to maintain your session stats. And so if you play 20-30 hands on a table, you will gain a feel for how a player plays, and you'll be able to adjust. But once he leaves and comes back, it's a clean slate again. So that's one of the things I really like about this site. Just to cover a few of the features, when you pull up the account tab here, the main reason you use this tab is to download past hand histories. Once you download those hand histories after 24 hours, you can load them into a converter and then upload them into Holdem Manager or Pokertracker, whichever you happen to use, and you can review your session at that point. Now, all hand histories reveal all hole cards once you download them, and what that means is every hand that you review, you can see what everybody else had during that hand. So you get to see whether you were bluffed, what somebody had in a particular spot when they raised you. So you can kind of get a feel for how the regs play on the site. It's actually one of the most awesome things about this site is the ability to see all hole cards. So that's something to keep in mind for you pro players out there. And looking at the settings, like I said, you're not going to see all the bells and whistles, but there are just enough features to not make the site completely annoying to play on. You have a default buy-in for your games. You can auto post your blinds. You can set up preferred seating. You can use a 4-color deck. You can auto muck, you do all these things. And beyond just what a strong player would want to see, you also have these features that are geared towards recreational players. You have these animations where if you make a strong hand, you'll either see flames, cards will fall from the sky, you'll see electric lightning bolts flash across the screen, and while you or I might not be interested in that, there are a lot of players out there that might want to see that. There's also rabbit cards, so when you fold, you get to see what the next card would have been. So let's say you fold the turn with a flush draw and you didn't have the right price, you can see whether that flush would have come in or not. Some might find that annoying, but other people find that really interesting, and it's actually a really cool feature that I like. I like the fact that they have it on the site to keep recreational players happy, that type of thing. They have fold and show if you wanted to take advantage of that. And yeah, just a whole bunch of features that'll either make your gameplay experience more enjoyable or easier. So you can choose a few different skins. You can change your color red, the color of your table red, blue, green, emerald. I don't know what the difference is, blue and emerald. You can change to a racetrack style. Back on Bovada they had where you could make it like a football field or baseball diamond. Well, they got rid of that in Ignition. You can't do that anymore. And there's no way to upload a custom skin either. But fortunately, the default skins are pretty attractive. They're really modern feeling. Software is fairly smooth. And so I don't think that's going to be a deal breaker for anybody out there as far as the way the tables look. But just getting into Holdem Indicator now. Like I said, there's the ability to have a HUD on your tables that are only for sessions. And you can see how many hands you have on players. Like I have 16 hands on this player, and he's 44-19. This guy appears 47-6, over 17 hands. So you can kind of get a feel for who the fish are. Like this guy's probably recreational. This guy's probably recreational. This guy could be, who knows, just too soon to tell. This guy's obviously like a tag reg, 22-22, 30-30 up here. So as you can see, I'm running 41-35, pretty typical for me. Maybe not that extreme, but like 28-26 would be pretty normal. But you also get to see what other people and how they view you if they happen to have Holdem Indicator. So when you sit down and you run the HUD, it'll keep your stats as well. So if you're running tight, you can imagine other people and how they are reacting to you if they have this software as well. So it allows you to do some adjusting against other regs, not as much as if you had like Pokertracker or Holdem Manager HUDs running, but just enough that it's not complete just a clicking of buttons or standard strategies. There is the ability to play poker here without those deep reads that you may be used to. But there's a variety of HUD stats you can customize on Holdem Indicator. You can actually add profiling icons as well. But usually on Bovada you wouldn't want something like that since it takes like 100 hand histories or so, or even more, to get accurate profiling. So that's not something I would recommend using on this side anyway. There's different settings you can use. You can use a percentage or ratio as far as your pot odds are, because this is one of the features of Holdem Indicator and Tournament Indicator, is it gives you your pot odds right here on the bottom, which is kind of nice if you just are lazy and don't want to do the math in your head. You've got the software doing it for you right here. So yeah, Tournament Indicator is basically a Holdem Indicator, except they have the added benefit of either having big blinds shown or M zone. Other than that, it's exactly the same. In fact, the only reason I bought Tournament Indicator was to have big blinds show on the table. I spent the $100 some odd just for that. But you can use, if you just wanted to buy Holdem Indicator, you can use it on everything: tournaments, sit and goes, cash games. However, on Tournament Indicator, you can only use it on sit and goes and tournaments. Now the last thing I'm going to cover is just a few questions people sometimes have, pretty common questions about poker sites. Some people wonder if Ignition Poker is rigged, and the answer to that is pretty much any site that has more than 100 players playing at any given time is not going to be rigged nowadays. Not that that ever was an issue anywhere. They pretty much have vetted these sites. Players have millions and millions, maybe billions of hand histories that they've gone through, and no hanky-panky has ever been found where any poker site is singling out a particular player to rig the games for or against him or her. So that's just not even something you should be concerned with. The games are fair. You might see more strong hands than you would in a live, but that's obviously just because you're playing more hands per hour and it just seems like it. So don't worry about games being rigged or anything like that. Not even a concern, especially in the year 2016. Is your money safe on these poker sites? Yes. There's thousands upon thousands of people that trust their money on these poker sites. Now, I would stick to the mainstream sites like Ignition Poker, WPN, Winning Poker Network, in other words, America's Card Room, Chico Network, Bet Online. I can't speak for any of the smaller sites. That's why pretty much I only cover bigger sites on my website. So yeah, your money is safe. Now, if you want to be safe and only, now that being said, I only keep just enough money to play on these. I don't keep excessive amounts of money on any poker site. If I need 50 buy-ins to play my highest stake, I keep 50 buy-ins on the site. I take off all excess money. That's just smart. I mean, Black Friday happened. We know what that is. Use your own common sense in that regard. Deposit options on Ignition are debit card or Bitcoin. I believe you can also use Western Union if you wanted to, but I actually highly recommend that you get a Bitcoin account through blockchain as well as a Circle account. Use Circle to move money to and from your bank. Use blockchain to move money to and from Circle, and as well as blockchain to and from the poker site. So if you're putting money onto a poker site, you put money onto Circle from your bank account. You move money to blockchain from Circle. Then you move money from blockchain onto the poker site. It's not as complicated as it sounds. Then you pull money off the poker site. You put it into blockchain. If you want to move it onto your bank account, you move it over to Circle, then back to your bank account. Circle is a Bitcoin operator, but your account balances don't fluctuate with the Bitcoin market. That's why you want a Circle account. You could leave money on Circle and not have to worry about Bitcoin crashing. So that's why I never keep money on blockchain, because I just don't trust that. Now, if you do, more power to you. So highly recommend using Bitcoin because withdrawals typically happen within 48 hours on Ignition. I think the last withdrawal I did was something like $3,000, and it took 9 hours to hit my blockchain, if not sooner. It was pretty quick. I had my money in less than a day. If you use debit card feature, it's probably going to take you a few days, but it's still going to be less than a week no matter what you choose. If you choose to pull your money out and you want to get a check, it's probably going to take a week. Bitcoin is the future, for at least as of right now, for poker sites. Get a blockchain account. Do it. As far as cash out fees, you usually get one cash out free per month, and after that they'll charge you a minimum amount. With Bitcoin, you can take up to like 10 grand out at once. I think it's 9,500. If you want to get it by courier, I don't think there's a limit on that. But they do charge like a $75 fee or a $50 fee after your first withdrawal per month. So if you want to do like a once a month cash out, that's probably the ideal way to go. If you're a PLO player, you can actually find high stakes games running pretty much 24/7. This is one of the few sites for American players, if not the only one, that you can be a legitimate high stakes PLO player and play on Ignition. So if you want to play with fishy PLO players at the highest stakes possible in poker right now, get an Ignition account. And just a small aside, you can also get Omaha Indicator to use and have a HUD on Ignition as well. So that's it. I'll conclude my review now of Ignition and Holdem Indicator as well as Tournament Indicator. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment below. I'm going to leave links to my website where you can read further reviews on Ignition as well as the other software I've discussed in this site as well as the other poker sites. And if you wouldn't mind, like this video, subscribe to my channel. You'll get updates. I'll do periodic reviews on and actually play on these sites, and you can get further, more in-depth knowledge on how these poker sites and everything operate, as well as learn strategy. My website is designed to teach people poker as well. So come to automaticpoker.com, check it out, let me know what you think, and I look forward to hearing your comments. And thanks for watching this, guys. Everybody have a great day.